Hey there, this is Dr. Pam Perry. So, this is something new. Get out there, get known. We are doing a media makeover. This is the first one. So, I want to say, first of all, happy Black History Month. It is Black History Month. So, as you know, I am the publisher of Speakers Magazine. I'm a publicist. This is our January issue. Our February one will be out shortly. But this is a media makeover. And out of all the applications, I chosen a lady, Black woman leading. How's that for Black History Month, right? So blackwomenleading.com is who we're going to be talking with, the founder, the brainchild of that, Laura Knights. And what we'll be doing is really going over some questions with her, any questions that she may have, and hopefully you can learn from that how to really do your own media makeover, meaning that whatever message that you want to share out to the world, to do it through media, radio, TV, print, broadcast and print primarily, and online, digital as well, because you got to be Googleicious, right? So I invite you to kind of take a seat back. We'll be about maybe 20, 25 minutes. Our Ready, Set, Go Speak community will be joining us as well. They'll have questions. You can put them in the chat. I believe that I can see them. I see Casey Bell over there, but if you have questions, you can put those in the chat as well. We're actually streaming on Speakers Magazine. We're streaming on YouTube and we're streaming on LinkedIn. So if you have comments, I can see the comments and questions, but primarily I will be answering questions from Laura and giving her some advice and guidance on how to really be media ready, how to really make over your media. So that's kind of like the main thing that I really wanted to do with this Get Out There, Get Known podcast. We're on podcast number 114 or something like that. Hey, Dr. Virginia. And so what we'll be doing is going through all of her materials, more like an audit. If anyone knows me, they know that I speak the truth. I'm going to tell it to you like it is. I've been doing this for couple of plus decades. Actually, it's 24 years this year. So with that, I had promised to do a little bit of an intro about what that is like. 24 years. What 24 years in anything is got to be like, really? Started in 2000, right? So I'm going to share this little video that Bob Ivory did for me about the 24 years of Pam Perry PR. All righty. So we'll do that right after this, and then I'll bring up Laura Knights.
Knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone with Pam Perry PR. 24 years strong, she know the do's and don'ts. 24 years stepping over traps, smashing clickbait, so you stay on track. She still got game, world-class PR, going hard in the paint for beginners and saints. Check it. Pam Perry PR, making all the moves, working her magic so you don't lose. Pam Perry making your dreams come true. She know what to do. 24 years in the game, put some respect on her name. 24 years in the game, put some respect on her name. We got mad love for Pam Perry PR. Keep doing your thing, you know what I mean. Bye, leave that, do your thing. Pam Perry PR, 24 years strong and still standing tall.
So if anybody knows me, they know that I love to dance. That is not me rapping, okay? That is not me rapping, even though maybe in my head I am. That was Bob Ivory, and the whole world has really changed. So he did it with his secret sauce. Bob Ivory is my designer go-to. We've been dreaming big together for many, many years. And I'm just so excited because it is 24 years and it's like, oh, you keep reinventing yourself. You have to if you want to stay relevant. And so reinventing ourselves with this podcast is one of the things too, because I've never met Laura. I've never met her, never heard of her until she applied. So with that, I'm going to bring up Laura Knights.
Hello. Hey, Dr. Pam.
Oh, thank you so much, Laura. So, it's full disclosure, never heard of the movement, Black Women Leading, did a little bit of research about it, love it. I figured for Black History Month, I want to just come out strong. You have a strong brand. I want to say that right away. I see it. It's a couple of years, started in 2020. Looks like it started in 2020. And you're out of ATL, but you're originally from Chicago.
Yes.
Like sister city, right? Because Detroit and Chicago are like sister cities.
Yes.
And so I looked at that and I was like, wow. I said, I really love what she's doing. And I want to show people if I can present a little bit about your website and how that looks. It is beautiful. And so this is your program. So I don't want to do that one. I
Mhm.
want to show your main website. Oh my God. And can you see that?
Yep, I can see it.
Oh my God, I just love it. So it says Black women leading, and I want to give a kudos to the registered trademark.
Whoop,
Yes,
whoop.
that's a feat, right? So I was like, she's doing the right thing. So I love the fact that you have that people can come to your site and they see themselves, right? They see themselves, whether they're brown skin, they're light skin, natural hair, curly hair, weave, wig, head wrap, right? It's just like it's there. And then you say you're talking about there's a call to action button right there. Learn more, enrolling for your cohort, what you are about, you're using the word that would resonate with some Black women when we're talking about in the workplace about microaggressions. I've been out of the workplace, you can tell, for about 24 years. So that was not a term when I was in the work world. We just called it racism, but this is a whole nother experience. So you really talk about that. And I like the fact about joining your community, what would be the best options. It's a beautiful site. I love the colors. Can I ask why you use blue?
Yeah, so Black Women in Leading is an initiative of the parent company, Nice Consulting, and we do a lot of corporate work. When
Hmm.
we did the corporate psychology years ago, the blue was about stability, safety, trust. The red is that, urgency,
Yes.
call to action. And so we had those brand colors with the work we were doing with organizations. And then we just kind of massaged it in so it's consistent across all of our work we're doing with Black Women Leading as well.
I love it. I didn't know whether it was a what they call a subtle call out to anyone who was Greek. Are you Greek at
Mm,
all?
I'm not. I'm not.
Okay.
I got a lot of Greek loved ones though.
Because I know you went to a HBCU.
No, I
Which
went
one?
to a PWI. I went to Washington University in St. Louis. I didn't get the HBCU experience, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. Right. Because I looked at the blue. I says, I wonder if she's part of the Zeta. But then I saw the red and I said that could be the Delta. So many different things. I tell clients sometimes whatever affinity association that you're with, that use those colors because those are the people that are going to support you right away. And so someone who's a Delta, their colors may be red and white, or someone who's a AKA, they use a lot of pink and a lot of greens. They don't have to say that they're AKA, but it's a call out. It's a subtle call out. It's like
I
a bat
see.
signal out
I
to
see.
those that know that, right? So I just really like that. And it talks, I love your navigation, your about, your programs, your retreat, your speaking, resources, podcasts, and the shop. And so we'll come back to that in a minute. I'll stop the screen. What I like about it is it's very organized. So, want you to, Laura, tell us a little bit about yourself. I'll keep my eye over here on the comments and questions as well. I see Marcy Bryan over there. Hey, Casey. Hey, Trina. All right, good, good. Love the intro, Dr. Legina. So, give us a little bit about your background and how you got into Black women leading, and really what is the well, just your background in terms of how you see it all fit together. I saw something really quick about different backgrounds that we have because sometimes it's not always a straight and narrow. You
Yeah.
started one thing and went to this and went to that and now this. So give us that background.
Yeah, so early on in my career, I started in undergraduate business degree, started in HR, organizational development. So working in organizations to help them, support their most important resource, which is people, right? But I
Mhm.
had a Black woman leading experience early in my career, and was the corporate thing was not really feeling that supportive to me right away. So one of
Mhm.
my mentors, who was a Black woman who was an executive director of a nonprofit, said she got this huge grant that allowed her to build her capacity of her team. So she said, bring your business acumen over here to my nonprofit and help us build this, and that'll give you a break. And she had been my mentor through college and all of
Mhm.
that. So I
Good.
went to the nonprofit sector and very quickly became a nonprofit executive as a young woman. The work that we were doing was in Chicago at the time, working with getting poor but very smart Black and brown kids to college, doing youth development in some of Chicago's toughest neighborhoods, right? But our children were brilliant, right? When I was doing that work, although I was in more the organizational program planning and all of that, of course, in a nonprofit, you do a little bit of everything. And so I was seeing that we were doing this really supportive work with these children, but the families or the home life was just off the chain. So I went back to school and became a social worker and got my master's in social work. And
Wow.
long story short, my journey went into I'm a licensed clinical social worker, so I was trained as a therapist. I worked as a family therapist for a while.
Wow.
And then went back into another organization where I was creating citywide programming. So all of my experience was this HR people. Then there was this therapeutic piece, all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a consulting firm before I started Nice Consulting where I worked with Black women founders. And they were leaving corporate because of toxic workplace experiences and starting their own businesses. Ran that for 6 years. The common thread was I started to think I have this experience of working with people in organizations. Every Black woman that is having this experience is not going to start a business. Everybody is not an entrepreneur. So what is the resource for Black women who desire to stay employed and who want to move up and they're not leaving the organization to start a business? What are we doing for them? And so that began the early seeds of Black woman leading. And now it's a leadership development, a number of leadership development programs for people at different levels of their career, where we help them not only create their career development strategy, how are you going to move up, but also how you're going to take care of yourself. So that therapist mental health piece comes in, because we know Black women are experiencing burnout at a higher level than a lot of other groups.
Yeah.
So our program is holistic. We're focusing on your career and leadership development, but we're also centered on you as a human being and your wellness as well.
I love that. I love the story. I like how you weave in everything. That is what we call your elevator spiel, right?
It's a little long, though. I know. A
But
lot to put
I
together.
did ask you because I wanted people to realize that you started out in business and you went to nonprofit, then you got your master's degree, social work, you were helping teens, personal development, and you saw all of that. And you basically were always wedded to your community.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, oh, all of a sudden after George Floyd, when everybody was saying, oh, we got to take care of Black people.
Exactly.
You were doing that before. That was
Yeah.
just in your heart. And I always tell people, whatever is in your heart and your mission to do, keep doing that. Depending on what is going on in the world, your affinity, your reason, your purpose was really to help your community. So you were helping, those maybe in Chicago on the South Side, African American kids or whatever. And then it went into teens, and then it went to adults, and it went into Black women because you realized that there was a lot of burnout going on in corporate America. What I do like, and we're going to get to the marketing part about your PR and how to do the media makeover. The fact that you said that you saw a problem that women who weren't necessarily leaving corporate to start jobs, they wanted to stay in corporate. They just wanted to keep their mind together and get promoted. So you could get promoted and lose your mind. Like you could get promoted and then lose your family, your husband, and your
health.
Everything, and that's not worth it. You're losing your hair, that kind of thing. But oh, I'm in the C-suite. It said, but you're in the C-suite and you ain't got no edges.
We need our edges, okay?
So it's like that's not good. So you really went through and decided that this is a problem, and you saw a market, and you said, okay, I'm gonna step into this. And I'm going to lead with this. This is the business that I'm going to have. So I love that, because every business, no matter what, and I see all of you over here as well, no matter how much you love what you're doing, you have to realize that it's a business. So people pay for a solution to a problem. And that was the problem that you saw. Now, in terms of the retreat and your cohort and all of that, those were the programming things. So your experience in HR, your experience as facilitator, as a licensed therapist, and all of that, and in the nonprofit, Trina's a nonprofit executive as well. What I want to say is, and building a business, what you did is different. So what did you do initially in terms of building your business? I know you got the registered trademark. Love that. So did you get a coach? not gonna say anything. Did you get a coach to say, okay, how am I gonna build this business? I don't just like throw out a shingle and say, hey,
Yeah.
come on, black women, I'm gonna get on Instagram. It just showed. So what did you do, the steps to realize, okay, black women leading is going to be, you had a nice consulting, but
Mhm.
how did the other one evolve? Or even did it, how long have you had nice consulting?
Nice Consulting is 7 years old, and I had another business before that that was 6 years old. So I've been an entrepreneur for a good 13, 14 years.
Okay. Okay. And
Yeah.
were you failing forward, may I ask? Was the first one like coming out successful, and it's like, okay, I learned something now. Now I gotta rechain, and now I gotta do some different things because we don't start out always winning.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting. My very first job at 15, my dad was an entrepreneur. He owned his accounting firm. So I
Ah,
come from a family of entrepreneurs, but my
you got
dad
an
would not,
advantage.
he wouldn't allow me to get a job. Your job is school, focus on school, focus on school. But I wanted to make money and I didn't want to ask him for it. So my very first business at the age of 15 was being a tutor for the children in my neighborhood. And
Hmm.
I had clients, I had invoices, I had monthly retainers that I learned from my daddy.
Okay.
But I have been an entrepreneur. I've been a wedding planner when I was in my early 20s. My mother was a 20-year Avon lady with people under her. So I have already always had that entrepreneurial thing around. But in this current iteration, I really started by speaking, doing workshops, um, doing my network, saying in my job I would have to do a lot of workshops. I used to work for a university for 10 years as well before I became a full-time entrepreneur. In my job I would do a lot of the work I do now, staff development work,
Mhm.
coaching work. So I was building the skills already as an employee, and then it was starting with just speaking and workshops, and then that started to expand. But in my jobs, I always did program development. I have always been an entrepreneur where you get a high level thing and you have to build it out. Every
Mhm.
job I've ever had since I was 20 years old was a new position that was created for me
So
my
you
whole
were
life. Yeah.
you were built for this, I
Yeah.
would say,
Yeah.
because most people don't have that. And the finance piece for any business is probably the hardest part.
Yeah.
Because just like you said, you're doing the invoices, you're watching the money. So that part is and the wedding planning, that
Yeah.
is very stressful. I mean, so I can see how the retreat was like a breeze
Yeah.
because it's your retreat. It's not some bridezilla,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, so I can see how all of those pieces work together. So at this point, I see that we filled out the application. And one of the things that you would like to do is have more visibility and brand awareness for Black women leading initiative, which comes out of
Yeah.
Nice Consulting.
Yeah.
So what have you done so far that has worked, and what would you like to see in the future?
Okay. Yeah. So I think what's been a big thing that's been a supporter of us has been the podcast. So we have a podcast, and a lot of women come to us. So our participants, there's kind of two clients we have, and I would love to get your take on this, Pam. We have, I would say, about 75% of our participants, their employers sponsor them through the
Okay.
program. But
I like that.
yeah,
That is, hey, that is, especially after 2020, the whole Black Lives Matter, they are looking for programs
yeah,
to sponsor their Black women so that they can be right.
yeah.
Okay. DEI initiative and all of that. So, okay. All right. Go
Yeah.
on.
So about 75% are sponsored by the employer. The remainder are self-pay. Either they can't get the support from the employer or they're using us to leave their employer and they don't want the employer to know that they're in this program.
Yeah.
So, but even those who are being sponsored by their employers, I would say of that 75%, more than half of them, they found us and they took us to the employer and said, pay for me to do this program. So we really need to get in front of the women, right? But then we have this piece, a small piece of corporations who see us and reach out and say, this is in alignment with our goals. How can we sponsor people? So we have those two different messaging, right? It's to the participants, which is their direct pain points, but it's to the employers that's this bigger piece of how this
HR.
supports your D&I initiatives in HR. So it's a multiple messages. But what we've done so far, podcasts, of course. I do quite a bit of speaking as the face of the brand that brings a lot of brand awareness and spills over. We're on social media, but we still have a lot of space to grow on social media as well. Yeah.
Where have you been speaking? What type of places? Are they churches?
Um,
Are they nonprofits? Are they
Yeah, so I
gym?
do. part of Knight's consulting work is work in corporations. So we have corporate clients where we do leadership development for their staff at large. So some stuff is spillover. We do this for all your staff. I build a relationship and I say, by the way, we got this for Black Women Leading. So an example, one of our corporate clients sent 20 women to our conference last year. And then some of those women enrolled into the program. So it's a circle between our corporate and that. I speak at a lot of conferences. Like, for example, I was a keynote at the Black Women in Data conference in September. And that brought a lot of people who are interested because that's our target population, Black women.
Yeah.
So anywhere where there are Black women, I'm going to speak there.
Okay. All right.
The podcast, I'm also active on LinkedIn. We get a lot of kind of buzz and contact on LinkedIn. And I would say our next really active one that more reaches the women directly is Instagram.
Instagram. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I want to just show really, really quick your Instagram, which I love. Let's show your Instagram. All right. So your Instagram here is very professional, very branded well with the colors. It shows different things. It shows your program. It shows the face of you sometimes. It shows the podcast. So this right here is very well done. So in terms of your followers, 1,500, respectable number. That's kind of like the main thing. What I don't like to see is you don't buy, likes and followers. That's just trash. Anybody who does that, do not buy followers. Let me tell you, that's just going to damage your credibility. You have in here sponsorships available for those who want to support Black women leaders as they learn, heal, grow in leadership capacity. That could be people who want to do swag bags or people who have books. Trina, I'm just saying that to you because she's in the Ready, Set, Go Speak community. So she may want to contact you there. And then also too, I want to show another screen. I'm going to stop this one here. And you said that personally, people reach out to you via the Instagram. They find you there, but also you said also on LinkedIn. So let me show you.
And our LinkedIn, I mostly use my personal page because our Black Woman Leading is a showcase page and we just don't get the visibility on it. So normally LinkedIn stuff is coming from me just individually kind of.
Okay. All right. So, yeah. So, but you do have a LinkedIn showcase page. So that's very good for companies to see you. And then there's the Knights Consulting over there as well. That's you as well.
That's the parent company. Yeah.
That's the parent company.
That's more the corporate work.
All right. So I kind of see that there. So what I want to say here, I'm going to stop the screen here, is that for everyone, and this is a media makeover, posting on Instagram could be exhausting. You saw how beautiful her page was, right? It's a lot of work. I mean, it's the graphics, it's this, and it's for 1,500 people, right? And I mean, that's a lot. But imagine if you were in a magazine that reaches thousands on a different platform for you, or television, or other podcasts and media. So you're borrowing someone else's platform and building your credibility, because when you're posting on your own platform, it's just you. And I love that. We should have our own YouTube channel. We should have our own podcast. We should have our own blog, our own newsletter. That is part of really building your own platform, because if you want to do a book, they're going to ask you how many people are on your platform.
Exactly.
So you have to do that. But the main thing too, when you're starting out, is you want to get media, which is really what this is about. And we're like into 25 minutes because I want to hear your story. So let me just give you a little bit of a background about that. So I see people all the time always doing the IG, the LinkedIn, and Twitter, whatever. They're just wearing themselves out because it's just so much, and you have to keep up with it. So you just can't post and ghost. You gotta engage. So you gotta be there. Just, and you gotta follow people, you gotta like people, you gotta comment back and forth, and that whole thing. But within your city, and I can see when I Google you, there is the story that you told me that I don't see, that I can scroll and see parts of it, but I can't read all of it. I can listen to your podcast and I can subscribe to it, and that you're in my ear and I can hear that, but I want to know who you are and what your story is and how you weaved in all of these different things. So one thing I did see was a Voyage ATL. That was a good long story about you. It gave backlinks to you. But one of the things that in Ready, Set, Go, Speak and all the people in the community, they have stories, whether it's CEO Weekly, whether it's New York Weekly. For you, Vicky Hamilton, she's out of Atlanta. She's been at ATL Wire, and it tells your whole story. It's through a third party, written by a writer on their platform that is thousands of people that you wouldn't reach, but it's targeted towards that audience that you want to reach. So
Oh,
that's the power of press and power of media. So Ready, Set, Go, Speak, I mentor the group. Within the group, I list speaking opportunities, which I always love. Obviously, speaking opportunities are really, really key. This is one of the issues as well, because when you speak, like what you said, I'm in front of Black women, whether it's Black women in tech or Afro tech or any of those type of things. I'm posting within there different opportunities that people can apply for.
got it.
Media, other podcasts they can get on, other media outlets they can go. For you, you want to look at your because it's so niche, and I love that about that, Laura. It's so niche. It's Black women leading. So, have you ever reached out to your Black press in ATL? The Atlanta, I want to say it's Star and the Atlanta, ooh, I can't think of the other Atlanta Black newspaper. But if we were in Chicago, you would know that.
Yeah,
Chicago Defender,
yeah.
right? So you would know that. So there's a Chicago Defender like that in every city. In Detroit, it's the Michigan Chronicle. Atlanta has probably 3 or 4 different ones. They're weekly, but there is power in the Black press. I'm a part of NNPA, which is the National Newspapers Publishers Association. And it's only, you know, 300 or so Black newspapers
Wow.
in the country. And the major cities have them. You know, there's even some in Portland and that kind of thing too as well. California has a few, you know, the Wave newspapers. But so all of you on here, whether it's Trina, Pamela, you know, I don't know if Charlotte has them, but you want to find your Black press. And when I say that, because it's not just because we're going to read the newspaper, but they have what I call authority links. Press and media have authority links. Google likes that because uh, it is a news authority, so they give that more weight than say other type of things that we may post, right? So if something is like, say, for instance, in the New York Times, that's going to be weighted 100, right? But then also too, maybe it's the Michigan Chronicle that will say there for years. That's weighted like 89. You know, things that aren't weighted so high are things that we post because it's like, you know, whatever. And that's why we post so often so we can kind of get it up. We're posting on Facebook, posting on Instagram, posting on Facebook, posting on Instagram so we can bring it up. But if you already have something that has a whole lot of people, right, coming to it, and people are clicking on those links, and it's a lot of backlinks, and it's old, it's been out there for a long time, that is what you want to do. So I always tell people in terms of the stair steps, in terms of getting to the CNN or getting to the Forbes, we start local, move into your digital, move into your regional, and then you move out into national. When I say local, meaning your local Black press, your local Black television, radio stations, because we always have Black radio stations, and primarily sometimes our television stations on the weekend will have community affairs programs. Now, for all of us, it's Black History Month. Wherever you are, reach out to the community affairs or public affairs person at your local television station. They are African American. They're pretty much sometimes required by the laws to do this type of programming, community affairs, public affairs programming. During Black History Month, they're probably doing some type of program. So you want to be either you'll be one of the people on the set or the main person on the set, but it depends on your pitch. We just pitched the other day. I don't know if Sharon's on there, but she's going to be pitched because she's a caterer. She's a food person. And so African Americans, we love different types of food. There's heritage in the type of food we eat. So I pitched her to really talk about, and it's also Heart Health Month as well. So
Mhm.
Heart Health Month with soul food is really talking about the heart of you know, heart of our food in African American and how also she can cook it a healthy way. So I
Oh,
invited her. So really, the show segment was shaped up around her cooking the healthy food for Black History Month. Da, da, da. So you have to know a little bit about the news, you cycles. What is February, March? Obviously Black History Month in February. March is Women's History Month. So you got 2 months. You can kind of do
mhm.
that kind of thing. So you want to hit your when you pitch, you think about that first, then you think of what that audience would want to hear. So if it is your Atlanta Black newspaper, then really talk about not necessarily selling. So I want to make sure that everybody knows that we're not selling anything. We're not selling a book. We're not selling a retreat. That's just an after thing when they
Right.
ask you, what do you have new that's coming up? But we don't lead with that. We lead with the story. So it may be why you created your business, why Black women leading, that so many Black women were having burnout. Why? And give some stats, da da da. You are now the authority. You're the thought leader on that. So you can really lead with that in your pitch. They can dig deeper into it. Sometimes they can dig deeper into it because maybe there's 4 or 5 other type of organizations that are doing the same type of thing. So that's a roundup story where they round up different Black women organizations that are helping the same problem. And that's a roundup. That's good for them. So we always want to think about what's good for the media, what will make them look good. So
Okay.
a roundup story would be that it's Black women leading, and then maybe it's another organization that's doing the same type of thing, but they're all really helping Black women in corporate America to learn how to better manage stress and
Mm.
how to get promoted or how to get an ally. Uh, the buzzwords that
Right.
from HR. The HR buzzwords of that. We got to have a sponsor, this and that.
Yeah.
So those are the things that they want to know, and you're picking pieces of it based on that media outlet and based on what you know that you can bring to them. That is like the baseline. Once you get it, there's about 25 different ways to leverage one piece of PR. That's what I teach in Ready, Set, Go, Speak, about 25 different ways. Of course, we're going to post it on social media. That's like a given. You can also put in your email signature so that when you send it out email, they can say, oh, okay, your little signature down here says, see my latest story in, CEO Weekly. And they click it and they read your story. Wow. It's like, without you really just sharing it out like blatantly, like, oh, look at me. I was in the paper, but just a little link like, see the latest story. Obviously, you're going to put in your media kit, put the logos on your one sheet, all of that thing. But once you get one media begets media. So even if you had something years ago, the piece that you had, the Voyage Atlanta, use that piece again, send it out again, pieces of it, do a reel with it. There's just creative ways. You could use it as a green screen in the background and scroll and talk about it, or you can read pieces of it as a voiceover. There's just media begets media. So you want to continue to do that. The other thing that I say is that there's so many podcasts. You want to pick the ones that have your target audience, because you could waste a lot of time getting on podcasts. It's like, you know what, that was not even my target audience. It was
Mhm.
just me and the other person. So you want to make sure that when you are doing that, that you're strategic as well. I would suggest joining a community, and if you've had a coach before. Okay, you see my little puppy over here. If you've had a coach before for business, but get a coach also for PR.
Okay.
There's a lot to it. It's a lot of moving parts. A lot of it is connections. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Sometimes I can pick up a phone and just say, hey, you can get on. I've had some people in Ready, Set, Go, Speak be on Kelly Wright's show, who's on America's Hope, that reaches like millions of people. Or, at the very least, get in Speakers Magazine. Like you said, you speak. So I always one of the things I coach everybody and Ready, Set, Go, Speak. I just posted the other day. It said, if you want to speak, make sure that you're on these speaking sites.
Okay.
And that's key. One person who was on my Speak and Shine, she said she got 26 responses from one particular site that she posted on that she didn't know about until I told her.
Wow.
So just like anything, just like probably your dad is an accountant, you don't know what you don't know. So that's why you have an accountant. You don't know what you don't know, so you have a business coach. You don't know what you don't know, you have a PR coach. And that's kind of like the main thing with Ready, Set, Go, Speak. It's like, okay, Linda may say, well, Pam, how, or Yolanda may say, well, how does this pitch sound? What do you think? So last week I read her pitch and I said, this wouldn't get me. I said, let's change it around. And she was like, "Okay, I get it." I said, "It sounds too clinical." I was like, "You need to know the media wants to know what's in it for me." So
Mhm.
that's what you would have me to do for you, to be your sounding board, to really help you figure out, okay, Pam, I pitched the Fox station down here in Atlanta 4 or 5 times. They are totally ignoring me. What am I doing wrong?
Got it.
And I can say, "Let me call them," that kind of thing, because it is sometimes it the media is just people. I mean, it's relationships, so they wanna
Yeah.
know, like, who you know or can you make a call for me, that kind of thing. So, you have a good story, you have a good brand. I like what you're doing on LinkedIn, your Instagram, your podcast is on YouTube?
No, it's on all streaming platforms.
Mhm,
Audible, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all of that. But it's
mhm.
not. We don't have a. We have a page, but we're not really doing much with YouTube.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any of my Ready, Set, Go speaker over there, where should she be with her podcast? I know that no, I know Pamela knows, Trina knows. Where should she be? Linda, Linda, where are you? Is it, and they know I preach this all the time. Where should she be?
Come on,
Yeah,
y'all, tell me.
if they know YouTube, YouTube.
YouTube.
There you go, Eva. Even those, even those, and we talk about YouTube all the time.
Okay.
YouTube is owned by Google.
Google. Search
Uh,
it. Yeah.
Google up, yeah, there you go, YouTube. And YouTube is where this is streaming right now. But the main thing is that when people are listening to a podcast, they can't listen to the iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, this and that, but you're like splitting hairs. But
Mhm.
if YouTube has an RSS feed where you can actually put your YouTube in there every week, drop it every week, you will see it and get monetized with
Okay.
that as well.
Look into that.
None of the other ones will monetize you, right? So, one of the, Kawana, Dr. Kawana, one of my clients, she's getting paid from YouTube from dropping her podcast, right?
That's great.
So, just another stream,
That's great.
like thousands of dollars a month.
That's great. Yeah, I look. I have a team member. I'm gonna put on that. Put on that research on how to
YouTube
get that
is the
started.
key. Lindsay Ruffin, who's in our community as well, and he comes and does some training, but it's just like that is where you really want to be.
Okay.
And it can be your main source of your content, and you share it out and amplify it in other ways.
Okay.
If you want to get on television, you can actually now have something to share with them, right? Because they're going to use this as B-roll.
Got it.
Dr. Portia Locke is going to be on Fox in Detroit on Monday, Valentine's show. And basically, they said, "Hey, give me some B roll." So they saw her in the Women's Journal, which is a publication that we're partnered with. She saw in Women's Journal, basically said, "Hey, we want you on the show." Then they said, "Can we have some B roll?" She didn't send them a TikTok, she sent them a YouTube. So TikTok is fine. TikTok is vertical, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
vertical. It ain't gonna look good on television.
Got it.
So those are the like little things like that we kind of teach people when say, yeah, Trina said YouTube as well. There. That is so Linda, and you got to get your YouTube going too as well. So are there any other questions with you? I had a whole list of other questions to ask you, right? But
I have a question for you, Dr. Pam, just on something that you said. So, we have used kind of the Black PR press releases a couple of times to get out to the different. We actually have one coming out on Monday to get out
good.
to the different Black newspapers. Last year, we end up getting picked up by that one. Yeah, we got one coming out on Monday.
That's our partner. So we know
Awesome.
about them.
Last year, we did a press release on there about our programs, and we ended up getting picked up by Black Enterprise. So that was great. You said something about even if the article was some time ago, what would you recommend to refresh that? Because that was like a year ago, highlighting the programming that we do. What would be a way to kind of refresh that content? Because Black Enterprise is a nice name for people to say, "Oh,
Right,
you've been
right.
in Black Enterprise." So, any thoughts you have on how to like refresh an old piece of media content?
So last year you had how many followers on IG? I don't know, 1,000 or so.
Mhm.
So you got 500 new people that haven't
Mhm.
seen it. On
Yep,
your email list, you may have had 500 people. Now you got 500 new people. So
got
if
you.
the old people saw it, they ain't paying that much
Okay.
attention if they didn't see it. They was like, "That was a year ago. I don't
Yeah,
even remember I did last week. So you want to just share it out. It's been a year anniversary. We're gonna send it out. This is kind of like a what Black Enterprise did last year, this and that. There's 500,000 people that didn't see it. That's on your
Right.
email list, on your Instagram, in your LinkedIn that didn't see it. If they did see it, they're gonna see it again. But it was a year ago. It's not like you're posting it every week.
Got it.
Now, if you post every week about the same article, that's gonna be a little nerve-wracking. A year, you're good. You get to pass.
Okay.
You can put it out there again because that is a big deal. I will say for Black, for we partner with them because even those that were our December issue, they were in blacknews.com. All
Okay.
of the
Yeah.
shine people, they were in there as well. So we use this. Dante Lee, I've known him. I've been in business 24 years. He's been in business about 25 years. And
Wow.
so we started out together. One of the things that is a game changer for any PR is that it is SEO. So when I go to look, and if I'm a producer or I'm an editor, I'm going to Google you. So you need to have other stories written about you.
Yeah.
Press releases get picked up. It goes out to the Black press. Like again, I love the Black press. That's one of the main. That's where I really got my start. Uh, you know,
Mhm.
working with the Black press. So being part of NMPA and that kind of thing. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. I tell Ready Set Go Speak, do a press release at least once a month. They're like, oh, I'm like, yep,
And
at
that's
least once
good
a
too.
month.
Yeah.
At least once a month. And that keeps your Google ratings going up. And you should always have something to talk about
Of
every
course.
single month. You can see what's going on in the news. Uh, Trina, she can talk about something that Elon Musk talked about in terms of DEI. DEI must die. So give in a opinion piece too. Op-eds are good.
Okay.
Opinion editorials are good because sometimes they're looking for columns if you're good at writing. And the part that you said that I really liked, and YB does it, he's part of our Ready, Set, Go Speak, is speaking in front of groups. Whether you're paid or not, you are speaking and really sharing your message to a group because that immediately builds a trust with that group quicker than anything.
Mhm.
So you can post on social media and it's going to take a while to build trust. You can get in traditional media. That gives you a little bit credibility, but when you're in front of someone in a crowd, in a room, in front of them, flesh to flesh, that trust is really, they can feel your energy and that builds trust. So being in different organizations, whether it's Chamber of Commerce or whether it's Black women groups, those are the things that you want to make sure that you are doing. But the thing of it is, if you are picked up to speak at an event, I think Vicky just did that with Dr. Tasha's event, the Big Easy Retreat. She is promoting the fact that she is speaking at that event. So not only are you speaking at the event in front of the people, but you're promoting that you are speaking at the event. So the
Right.
event is until July, not until Essence Festival, but she can also probably do a press release about that, a news like,
I see.
with that headline and that kind of thing that she is speaking at the event, or I think she's an honoree and speaking or whatever. But the point of it is that you've got to know the news cycles in order to know how to leverage it. So someone will say, is this news? Well, and then I can kind of give them what would make it news or who is it news for? Who should you send it to? And that's where what you kind of need a little bit of PR mentoring in terms of, you know, thinking like a journalist, thinking like a producer. What does an editor look for? And I will say this, and I was on a rant about this yesterday. Don't spend so much time on photo shoots. Photos, snapshots are not the main thing to focus on. It is being a thought leader and leading with the thoughts, your content, what it is that's in your heart, what you feel, what you do. The last time I did a photo shoot, I was just talking with Bobby, who did my video. I think we said it was 2018.
Mm.
2018. And pictures are fine. It's like whatever. Who remembers the pictures? It's like whatever. So don't get caught up in that so much unless you have like a drastic look change. Like if
Yeah.
I if hair was like dark brown now, obviously I would change it. Or, if it was dark brown and now it's blonde or something like that. But don't spend so much time about that. The media just wants photos that are vertical and they want horizontal. So a lot of times when I'm putting people into placing their articles in different publications, they need a horizontal picture
Got it. Got
because
it.
when we share it out, if it's vertical, you know what happens, right? The head gets cut off.
I see.
It's like, okay, I'm sharing their article, but their head got cut off. So yeah, so those are the main things that I would say. But yeah, share your information out. And also to knowing that you can pitch print to broadcast, but you can't pitch other broadcasts to broadcast.
I see.
You see, you know, right? Because if like, look, I'm on ABC. I'm trying to pitch it to NBC. They're like, okay, well, you good, boo, go
Yeah.
on.
I see. That's good to know.
Yeah, yeah. So I always tell that to people. It's like, but they will find it on their own, but you don't pitch it to them because that just is it's in their crawl. Like,
Got
ooh,
it.
like they
Got
don't
it.
need. So yeah, so that's it. That it. Any other things? Any other questions you have for me? I'm looking over here and it says, you should YouTube podcasts be audio? Dr. Lugenia asks. No, people want to see you. So it's the next best thing to being there is watching me on YouTube live, like what me and Laura are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So they should not be audio only. There are podcasts that are audio only, that little static images. One of our Ready Set Go Speak members, Eric, has that, and I'm trying to get him to change it. Because people just want to see you live. They want to see you in person. If they can't see you in person, then they want to see video. So no, they should not be audio only. So yeah, that's it. That is definitely YouTube. People go to YouTube to watch. When pitching, Casey asked, when pitching, when is it too early and when is it too late? Most of us are too late. I don't think nobody is ever going to get dinged for being too early. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
So, so your event is when, Laura?
May 13th through the 16th.
So it is not too early. Like I was telling you, Tasha has had some media. Dr. Tasha Hurwitz is a Big Easy, which is in July. Her
Okay.
first article went out in January. She has
Okay.
another one coming out in February. Another one, two more coming out in March. Another.
Awesome.
It's you want to keep it fresh. You don't want to keep saying the same thing. Michelle McKinney Hammond's her article went out in January. Her event is in Chicago, and it's in April. And then she has another event in May. I'll send you that information as well.
Okay.
It's called the Diva Conference.
Awesome.
Divinely inspiring victorious attitude. Diva, that's what it stands for. So
Okay.
hers is in May and April and May. And
Okay.
she started really doing her pitching for the articles in December to land in January.
Now, when you say pitching for the articles, like for an event, it's not, we're not pitching the event, we're pitching some topical thing
Right.
around. So ours will be leadership development, addressing burnout, supporting Black women to grow in their career, like those kind of high level topics. And then the call to action is the event.
Yeah, with Michelle, because she's a personality. She's written over 40 books.
I'm
And
familiar with her and her.
yeah. So hers is a little bit different because it was about her personality in terms of what she's doing and that kind of thing. She was living in Ghana and that. So hers was more or less like generally about what she's doing. Then the second one talks a little bit more about for women. Then the next one will talk about Shirley Ralph, which will be at her event in Atlanta in May. So that's what we'll talk about. So each one, you depend on what it is and where it's going. But she was in the Chicago Journal, just kind of like, hometown girl does good type of thing.
Up to that kind
Yeah, what she's up to. She started out advertising, working with Burrell, and now she's here. She started at the bottom, now she's here, that type of thing. So depending on what the outlet is, and you kind of shape the story to that. That's why a lot of times they call PR people spin doctors, because we're spinning the story for the media, not spinning your story, but spinning it so that it fits that media that they care. That's not like we're spinning it so it's not true, but it's just making it so it's relevant. It's really relevant to that. All right, so you're welcome. It says yes. So it's never too early. It's never too early. I mean, a year might be too early, but for the most part, 6 months would be fine. Yeah. Too late would be, I got a book. I'm gonna get some press. Like, when the book come out? Next week. Okay, that's you know what? I will say one of the things I would suggest for you is a book.
I'm working on it. I'm working on
Okay.
it, Dr. Sam.
Okay. I knew you were. I knew
I'm
you were. I
working
said
on
that
it.
that's part of the strategy. So one of the things in the community, readysetgospeak.com, I would suggest that you go and check it out, is that within the group are different people that have different gifts. So within that is Dawn Owens, who is a publisher and also a book coach. So it's been taking you a while to get the book done. She's a book coach that can help you or ghostwrite it for you,
Okay.
or just write it once and you can give it to her and she can help you with the content editing.
Okay.
So I don't ever want people to feel stuck like, oh, I don't have someone that'll do that. It's probably within our group that we have people that can help you with that. So
Mhm.
Dawn is the Owens publishing company is within our group, and she kind of helps people with their books and translate them to if you want to translate them to um, Hispanic languages as well, because it's not just Black women that are just one language.
Of
They
course.
can also be Puerto Rican,
Of
right, and
course.
be Black women. So it's not like you said African American. They
Of
could be
course.
Puerto Rican or that kind of thing. So that could be a whole nother market another time that you work with as well. So yeah, so that is it. So if there aren't any other questions, I see no questions over there as well. Uh, I invite you to join us at Ready Set Go Speak. But you look like you have a lot on the ball, and the program is not like a course; it's a year long like mentoring kind of a
Yeah, well,
mentor.
we have cohorts. They kind of, and so you build a community too. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, all right. So with ours, it's more like a community,
I
which is
see.
important, and it's also like a mastermind
I
as
love
well.
that.
Yeah.
I
So
love that.
mentoring, masterminding, and media. That's it's and that's really so more than likely I'm always going to be talking about media, media, media. And I love social media and I'm on here. But the main thing is really getting into the press. That's really,
Got it.
really key of making sure. And then, I tell people how to crawl up to the larger outlets as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is helpful. I got a list of things. I'm going back to my team. Like Dr. Pam said, we need to do this. So I
Woo!
appreciate you and sharing your wisdom with me for sure.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, Laura. Laura Knights. Alrighty, bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah, I wanted to start out Black History Month with that. That is one of the things that, um, Black women leading. So I just knew immediately that I want to do that with her. So this is the podcast. Get out there, get known. It's going to take a little different thing. Actually, it's a little bit longer than I thought, but I thought that was good. What do you all think? I don't know. I love talking about this. So I can talk about it all day. So, Laura, thank you so much for coming on and joining us today. I'm Pam Perry, and I'm out.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch in order to be considered in media places or superstar stages. PamPerryPR.com, where you help you shine like a superstar.
So remember to share it out, subscribe, and what else did my coach tell me to do? Oh, every Friday at 2. Okay, Friday at 2 p.m. So we'll be doing it. And we're going to try and keep it to 30 minutes and not 52 minutes like we did today. Alrighty, take care. Have a great weekend. Alrighty, bye-bye.